Go ahead and make me.
Hey everyone, how are you? I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you're happy and healthy, and whatever COVID restrictions you were under are either lifted or about to be lifted. Over here in Australia, in this part of Australia, we were sort of all right until some families decided to have a big, huge party. They all got infected, so we're all under lockdown again, and God knows how long this time. It's lockdown number 7. We try to stay happy and optimistic. Yeah, we have to get through this, all of us together. If we all stick by the rules, we'll get through it a bit quicker, I think. Okay, so are you in the mood for the scary season, the spooky season? Over here in Australia, I don't think Halloween has ever been a really big thing. I think the last couple of years, especially the shops are really pushing the merchandise. And I'm happy about it because I love all things Halloween. I love all things spooky. I love horror movies. Yeah, it's my kind of thing, so I really enjoy it. I would love, for instance, I mean, it doesn't happen here in my neighborhood, but I would love for the kids and their parents to come by and you know, trick or treat and show us their costumes and all that. I would love all that. And maybe sometime in the future it will happen. So what are we going to do this episode? Well, I have designed and made this table topper for Halloween. This is what it looks like. This one is quilted. It's a smallish one. I'm going to show you how to make it. And I've also made, as an example, also made a bigger one. This one. This one is not quilted, so I want to show you that you can make both a quilted or an unquilted version. It doesn't really matter. The size is also up to you. Yeah, that will all become clear. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so these are the fabrics I chose. I really like these playful little skeletons. Some pumpkins, of course. Some splatters. Some small little things. I like this one a lot. It's sort of old-fashioned. More pumpkins. And I love this one with the bigger design. And some spooky eyes. And some orange fabric. Now you're gonna need some paper like this. I think it's called butcher paper, because we're gonna draw a circle, and I've used the glass tabletop of the table that I'm gonna make the topper for. Now you might not have a similar item this large that is round. So I can just use the old-fashioned method that I'm showing you here of a pen on a piece of string. It'll give you a perfect circle of any size. There you go. Then we cut out the circle of our design and we have to get to the center. Now to find the center, we fold it double, like so. And then once again, and that's how you find the center of a circle. Now we're going to mark the center because that's our starting point. The paper curls up a bit, it's a bit annoying. So that's the center. And because we're making a spider web, we're drawing the spokes, if that's the word, of the spider web. I'm just drawing them randomly. They don't have to be measured. They don't have to be exactly the same size is what I'm trying to say. Then we're going to draw the web threads, I think you would call them. Of course they have to be slightly curved like in an actual spider web. And these will become the segments of the fabrics that we're going to sew together. So we go around, keep drawing these little segments. Again, precision is not of the utmost importance here. So there it is. Now I thought it was a good idea to number them, because once we cut them out, we don't want them to get mixed up. So I just numbered them from 1 to 8. And by the way, I think 8 is the right number for this design. I don't think bigger or smaller would be good. Now we cut out the little, what would you call them? Little pie slices. All 8 of them. Again, very curly paper, annoying. And there we are. And that's all 8 of them. Now I've got eight of these pie slices. And now we're going to have to cut out the individual pieces of them as well. So that's what we're doing here. You cut them in the curve. Because these are the templates of our fabric pieces. There we go. Now I'll show you which fabrics I chose for each individual piece. Now for the smallest one, this one, I thought the one with the small design so that it's more visible. And the second one, the pumpkins would be cool. And then this one, I really like this design with the pumpkins and the ravens. And it's even got some web design on it if you look carefully in white. So that's for the third segment. And the large segment, I thought would be the best idea to have the large design on them so that they don't get lost. Now, to transfer the templates to the fabric, you place them like this and you trace it. Now I'm using a fine liner, which I do not recommend you do as well. I'm only using a fine liner so that it's for the benefit of the camera, so that it's more visible for you. You should probably use either a pencil or a fabric pen or whatever you usually use to trace things on fabric. So there we have it. Then, of course, we cut it out. I'm cutting it out with a margin of 1/2 centimeter or 1/4 inch. And now, of course, you have to cut out the way you're used to it, and your preference of margin. These are the 4 pieces of 1 slice. I'm going to show you how to pin them together. Oh, there's that spider. To accurately pin them together, these pieces, because of course they're curved, it's a good idea to fold it in half and get to the center and make a little mark there. And do the same thing with the other piece, so that you get the center of both pieces. And that's where you start pinning them together. You have the middle matching the middle. And you place them together like so, with the good sides facing each other. And as I said, in the middle is where we put the first pin. There we go. Now you've got your center. And then you just follow the edges and pin them together the way I'm showing you here. Just put the edges together, put a pin in it. If you've never done curves before, it might feel a bit weird. Just make sure your edges match. You can also do this with fabric, with a glue stick. I think if you've never done it before, I think it's best to do it with pins first. And this is what it looks like. All pinned together. So sewing curves is not super hard. I'm pretty sure anyone can do it, but it does take a little bit of practice. We're not going to be sewing these kind of curves. It's going to be a lot less steep as a learning curve, pun intended. But there's going to be some curved sewing in this project. Yeah, it's not going to be that hard. Just try it out. As you might know, I'm a hand sewer first and foremost. I do use the machine as well. I think my rule of thumb is that when I create, I sew by hand, and when I construct, I sew by machine. I think that's what I'm doing most of the time. Also, if you've never done this before, I really do recommend you start with hand sewing to get a feel of how the fabric reacts when you sew in a curve. Also, when you sew by hand, the fabric is a little bit more forgiving than when you do it by machine. Of course, if you're an experienced curve sewer, then you know you don't need to know any of this. You can just do it any way you like. And there we are, little knot. And then straightening it out a little bit. And then we have a curve. We've sewn a curve. Now, to make the fabric even more flexible, I like to give the margin the seam allowance of, you know, little cuts along the edge to accommodate the fabric, accommodating it to the curve a little bit more. There we are. And there's the curve. Now I do that with all segments, and then it ends up looking like this. Oh, that spider again. Yeah, and we do this for all 8 segments. As you can see, some of them are broader than others, and some of them are slimmer. Doesn't really matter. Now we're going to put it all together. But before we do that, I thought it'd be fun to put some words on some of the pieces. So I printed out some spooky words. I just typed them in on a blank document in an image editor. You can use any image editor. Enlarge them a little bit and printed them. That's your template. And then I just transferred the words onto the plastic and I cut them out with small scissors. We're going to use a little sponge, just a kitchen sponge that I cut down to a smaller piece. We're going to need some fabric paint and our plastic template. And all you do is put some paint on your little sponge, and then you dab it on top of the template that you created. Of course, be careful not to put too much paint on your sponge, because then it'll smear. And there you have it. Now you can see that I smudged a little bit at the top. We'll just ignore that. That was spooky, and this is evil. And then we have creepy and haunted. Now, along these curves, to accentuate the fact that it's a spider web, I thought it'd be good to put some ribbon on top of there. And cut the pieces out. And I'm going to attach them to the pieces with a zigzag line. Now I'm demonstrating the zigzag line here on white fabric, because once I'm putting it on the black ribbon, it won't be visible. So I'm just showing you which zigzag I'm using for this particular project. I just place the ribbon on top of the line, on top of the edge where the pieces meet, and I have to move. Yeah, if I just move my big hand, my fat fingers, then you can see that I'm curving the fabric as it goes. I'm manipulating the fabric, I should say. Then this is what it looks like in the end. And you should do it on a slow setting, because if you go too fast, you'll go over the edge. And this is what one finished piece looks like. And again, we do it for all 8 of them. Now it's time to put all pieces together, and this is what it ends up looking like. We've got the entire circle. Now I've also put ribbon on the spokes of the spider web. This is going to be my backing fabric, and this is my sandwich, the top, the backing, and the padding. This is what I'm going to quilt. And we're ready to quilt the whole thing. Now the way I quilted it is just to follow the design of the spider web with white thread, and it really accentuates the design. Hello, Orson. What are you doing? So this is the end result. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I really like how the quilting actually accentuates the spider web design. I really like that. I'm really happy with the project, and I hope it inspires you to make one just like it, or your own version of it, of course. Now here's the bigger one that I made. As you can see, it looks really festive on a table setting for Halloween. Now if you do decide to make one of these table toppers yourself, then I would love to see them. So send me the pictures by email. The address is below in the video description. I would love to see your work. So that's pretty much it for this spooky episode of Go Ahead and Make Me. Bye bye. Penny for your thoughts. $5 if they're dirty. You strike me as the strong and silent type. Yeah. My mother always warned me about the quiet ones. After all, nobody plans a murder out loud, am I right? Yeah, women like silent men because it makes them look like they're listening. Now, I must confess, I'm a woman of a few words myself, but a lot of action. And yes, I am high maintenance, but frankly, I enjoy it. I've always wanted to be somebody, but now I think I should have been more specific.